Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the homestead, the Big Family Homestead. I am here with somebody who you are going to love, love, love. I know it. It happened last night in our live event. Brian Kappa, you have been getting all kinds of love and you didn't even know it yet. But here is my audience. Audience, meet Brian Kappa. Brian is the owner of Chip Drop, and that is a beautiful thing. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, thanks.
I got to tell you what, guys. Our crowd is the gardening crowd, the self-prepared, the reliant, self-reliant crowd. And when I told these people that they could get free wood chips, free mulch, possibly logs, delivered to their house, everyone scoffed and mocked at me. Tell them that it's true, please, Brian.
Yeah, it's true. It's actually something that a small handful of folks have known about, but I'm kind of opening it up to the general public and trying to let more people know that this resource is available.
So Chip Drop, tell me what it is. Take me through the 411, because I know that people are going to be clamoring for pen and paper right now. And yes, it's chipdrop.in, but take us through how it works.
Yeah, so so I got the idea working with a tree company. And we, as a tree company, we're trimming trees, removing trees, and then chipping all of that with a big, giant industrial chipper, shooting the chips into the back of a dump truck. It's a pretty specialized dump truck. You probably see them. They've got a covered box on the top of them so that chips don't go flying when they're shooting chips into the back. Most of these trucks hold anywhere from 6 to 30 yards. And then, yeah, once the crew fills up the truck, it might be the middle of the day and they still have a lot of work to do. They have to empty that truck in order to get back to work. They can't do any more work until the truck's empty. So that's where the need came in. And the company I was working with basically just kept a paper list of folks that he knew of in his neighborhood who wanted wood chips. And that worked great, but it's a little bit tricky to manage. He had 4 crews running, and so they'd be calling him or trying to figure out where the nearest drop site was. And it's really just a logistical issue. The company needs to empty their truck quickly, and the homeowners are out there, but the company may just not know who they are exactly when they need it. So it's really a logistical problem to solve, and we solved that with the website that I built, chipdrop.in. And basically what that does is it allows homeowners to sign up and wait on a list, so they can manage, themselves being on this list, saying, yes, I'd like to receive wood chips. And then anytime a tree company needs to deliver chips, they just pull up the map on their phone, find someone nearby, and go drop. With our system, they don't even have to call the homeowner to deliver those chips. So it solves both of those problems. Homeowners, basically get to tell all the arborists in their neighborhood, yes, I want chips, and tree companies get to access that information quickly out in the field. So that's kind of how it works.
Now, I noticed on the site, because I personally signed up for myself, that there's several options. I want to say there's 4 options. One is just wood chips only. One's wood chips with some logs. Then there's logs. Now, are you saying we can even get free firewood out of this deal?
Yeah, and actually, I was surprised when I found out too. There are companies that will fill up their truck with logs, and sometimes those will be bucked up into 20-inch lengths, like basically firewood, just hasn't been split yet, and they'll go dump them off, because their business is removing trees and pruning trees, not selling firewood. So they basically need to offload this material quickly, whatever the quickest way is. So yeah, there are some crews that will deliver logs. It's not as common as wood chips. So most of the crews are delivering wood chips. But yes, if you want logs, by all means, you could sign up and have logs dropped off. Really, where the logs comes into play is most truckloads of chips have a few logs thrown in the back. Like, let's say they're doing a small removal, they'll chip, fill up their truck with like 4, 6, 7 yards. And then those big rounds, the trunk, basically, they can't chip that. So they have to buck that up. And then their job's done. They want to get paid by their customer. So they have to remove all that material at the same time. So it has to be mixed most of the time. So most of the loads are wood chips with some amount of logs. And I always encourage people who sign up for chip drop to accept a few logs, even if they don't want them. Because one, they're easy to get rid of, even if they don't want them. Friends, family, neighbors will come and take them, use them for firewood, and the crews desperately need these sites that are willing to take logs. So I always encourage people to sign up to take a few logs.
Well, now, one thing that's interesting, too, I know that you say on the website it's completely free, but if you sweeten the pot, you can get higher up on the list quicker for free stuff, right?
Yeah, so yeah, we do have a way for homeowners to offer a payment, and that actually came at the request of homeowners. Initially, when I built the site, it was I didn't have a payment system built in, although I was planning at some point to do that. But I had several homeowners say, "Hey, look, we want to give a tip to the tree company, or we want to pay you. Like, this is a cool service." And I was basically leaving money on the table at that point. So I did implement this. It's kind of a donation, although we're not a nonprofit, so it's not really a donation. But it's not paying for wood chips. Essentially, what you're doing is saying, I'm willing to help pay for gas, help support chip drop, and the incentive really is that the tree companies get a piece of that. Essentially, what the payment does is chip drop will take $20 of that payment, and the rest of it will go to offset the cost to the tree companies. So there is an incentive for tree companies, to look for these sites where homeowners are willing to pay some amount of money. It's not a lot for what you're getting. Again, I'm trying not to set it up like you're paying for wood chips, because that's really not what you're doing. Even if you offer to pay, there's no guarantee that you'll get wood chips. But if you do offer that payment, again, there is an incentive that you might get them sooner.
Sure, but going back, it is very clear on your site that this is an option. This is not something you have to do. Yep. You can just sign up and say, hey, if you're in the neighborhood, drop chips here, and then you get a freebie. However, though, one thing I would recommend is, those guys are there, it's hot and sweaty. A 6-pack of whatever kind of beverage you might have on hand would probably go a long way for them to come back.
Yeah, definitely. And I really like to encourage that. The payment system online is really meant because most people aren't home when the tree company is going to drop the chips. You're working and the tree company is going to show up at your site before you'll even have time to come home and meet them. So you probably won't be there when you get the chips. And so the payment system online is really a way for you to offer a payment without having to be there. But the crews love to get, even some Gatorades is great. You make them so happy, totally make their day. And I do kind of allude to, leaving some kind of beverages for the crews. Anything goes along.
Because, that's always good, drinking and driving with chainsaws and heavy machinery. You're not endorsing that. You're not endorsing that.
Putting that on the website, but it's true. I mean, we did have homeowners. Some homeowners baked us cookies when I was working for the tree company. Some of them would leave us some beer. We had a couple of guys on the crew that were underage, so they got the Gatorades and we got the beers. But
there you go. But when the day was done, of course.
Yeah.
So once again, I just want to go back to the very beginning. This is a really, really cool way for you to get involved on so many different levels, folks. These companies got to get rid of these chips so they can stay moving, so they can stay profitable. You need the chips for your gardening, for your yard, whatever it is that you're going to use these wood chips for. Maybe you're going to get free firewood out of the deal. Go to chipdrop.in and sign up. Read through all this stuff. He's a kind of quirky, fun guy. You can see some of his personality throughout the website. And I really just love it, and I'm wanting to share, and I hope that you guys out there, the viewers, will pass this around and share it to your Facebook folks and all that, because this is the kind of thing where it's an everybody wins type deal. And I absolutely jump in with both feet. As a matter of fact, the minute I found out about it on my Craigslist where I live, I literally was trying to contact Brian saying, this is a great idea. How do I help you? So just want to say thank you, Brian, and chipdrop.in. I think it's a great idea. And you, sir, have been – oh, go ahead. We're not done yet.
Yeah. I wanted to make a couple points because I know, Brad, I really appreciate you offering to do this interview. I'm sure it's going to reach out to a lot of people. Some of the points that I like to, whenever I'm talking with someone who's about to sign up for wood chips, that I like to emphasize, because it can be misleading when you say I'm going to get wood chips, I'm going to sign up, they're going to show up. It's a very specific niche kind of system. And so setting expectations, we do that on the website. So if you, like Brad said, if you go to the website, read through the expectations of service, which is kind of our rules of engagement, rules of the road, that will explain everything. There's pictures of what the wood chips look like, so you can kind of know what you're getting into. But, some folks, don't read that, and they don't read the fine print. So the biggest thing that people run into problems with when they sign up for the chips are, one, they don't realize how much they're going to get. So it is important to know that you're going to get a full truckload up to 15 yards. That's important to remember. And, some people say, well, I can't use that much. And you'd be surprised, like if you lay the mulch on thick, which is actually better in a lot of cases, it goes pretty quick. So surprisingly, you can use a lot of mulch even on a small lot. But I often tell people, just get the load anyways. If you have a spot for it, there's probably neighbors or friends and family that you know of who can benefit from it as well. And so you could just share that extra material. The other thing to note is, well, in that same vein, the trucks won't drop partial loads. So when the crew shows up, you can't say, I only want half the load. It's kind of the whole truckload or nothing. And then the other thing to remember is these wood chips are a very specific kind of material. More often than not, there is tons of pine needles, leaves inside the wood chip. So, and it's not evenly dispersed. So, a lot of times the light fluffy stuff ends up on the top. So you get this pile of chips, and at the top it's all green and it looks like a pile of pine needles. So a lot of people are surprised at that at first. And so I always say, go look at the pictures, know that this is what you're getting before you sign up, because there will be pine needles and leaves most likely in the wood chip pile. And then the third thing, which is the last thing that gets people into trouble, is the site needs to be accessible at all hours during the day. You most likely will not be there when the crew's dropping. If you have to be there when the crew's dropping, like let's say there's a locked gate or something that you have to come and unlock, just keep in mind that if you can have the chips drop somewhere else outside of the gate or somewhere that you don't have to be there, that's always the better option. And a lot of times the crews may just pass up your site if it's going to take you like 30 minutes, or if they call you and you don't answer the phone, they'll just go find a different site. Mainly again because they're on a time crunch and they're only saving money if they're dropping the chips quickly. So I always encourage people to understand that ahead of time. And I guess I should say one other thing is we are getting the service off the ground nationwide, and we have a system to kind of get that ball rolling fairly quickly, so there aren't a lot of people just waiting on the list indefinitely. But that has happened in the past, and there's been people waiting for a year or more waiting for chips. So it is a waiting game, and I always tell people don't get discouraged. Brad, yourself included, like you may end up 2-3 months down the road being like, I'm not getting any chips. In your profile, when you set up an account, there will be a little map, and that shows in a 50-mile radius of you any other drops that have happened. So that's your way to kind of get an idea of if the service is working or not in your area. And if it's not, I always just tell people, just forget about it, come back 6 months, sign back up, check out the map. We should have, more service happening in your area. So
very cool. Well, thank you so much, Brian, for chipdrop.in. And folks, go and sign up. What could it hoit? You're gonna get free wood chips and logs and stuff. So hats off to you, brother, for a cool idea and well implemented. You have an amazing day, brother.
You too. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it.
Bye.